Hello, hello, everyone. Let me get my camera on. This is my second attempt at trying to get this recorded. I did the whole thing and then I realized my camera was off. So it was just a black screen with my name on it. So we're redoing it again. Today I'm going to celebrate the life and legacy of Catherine Booth. At a time when people threw eggs at women for speaking in public, this brave firebrand preached on the streets of London and ignited a gospel revival movement to help the poor. Not only did she establish the Salvation Army with her husband William, she also carved out a path for women in ministry. She actually wrote a book called Female Ministry, and we're talking in the 1800s, right? The Female Ministry, Women's Right to Preach in 1859. And she mentored hundreds of hallelujah lassies, right? Women who served as evangelists in the salvation movement. It was Catherine Booth who said, if we are to better the future, we must disturb the present. We need more women today who will disturb the status quo. And so I pray that this year's celebration in this month of May, as we're celebrating great women of faith, that she will be a great inspiration for you. So Catherine Booth was born in 1829, and she's considered the mother of the Salvation Army. She co-founded it with her husband, William Booth. She was a pioneering voice in Christian ministry, a powerful advocate for the poor and marginalized, and a bold champion for women's roles in the church. Her influence extended far beyond the pulpit, leaving a legacy of gospel-centered compassion and social justice. Catherine Mumford, she was born Catherine Mumford in 1829 in Ashbourne, Derbyshire, England, to John and Sarah Mumford. She was raised in a devout Methodist home. She was highly intelligent and deeply spiritual. Now listen to this. By the age of 12, she had read through the Bible 8 times. Let me repeat that. By the age of 12, she had already read through the Bible 8 times. She was also passionately committed to temperance movement, right? Advocating against alcohol abuse and contributing to youth organizations as a writer and a leader. In 1851, Catherine met William Booth, and in 1855, they married, and it was a true partnership, especially in ministry together. They also had 8 children, and many of them who went on to be or serve as influential leaders in the Salvation Army. Most notably, Bramwell Booth and Evangeline Booth, who became the Army's first female general. Catherine Booth began publicly preaching in 1860, defying the social norms of her time. She boldly defended women's rights to preach with her famous 1859 pamphlet titled The Female Ministry, in which she laid out the biblical and theological reasons for women's full participation in the church leadership. I'm going to have to look that up, see if I can find it. She spoke out against poverty and child labor, exploitation of working women, alcohol addiction, and its societal toll, what alcoholism did to the society. She spoke out against political and spiritual oppression. Catherine was revered for her compassion, her intellect, and her persuasive oratory. Her ministry was not limited to preaching. She actively worked within communities, influencing reform and extending practical aid to the suffering. In 1865, Catherine and William Booth launched what would become the Salvation Army, originally called the Christian Mission. It was a mission, its mission was twofold: to preach the gospel and to meet the practical needs of the poor, the addicted, and the outcast. Catherine shaped the Army's structure, including its military-style ranks and uniforms, had a strong emphasis on women's in leadership. The ministry became known for its holistic motto, soup, soap, and salvation. Don't you love that? Soup, soap, and salvation. In the final years, despite battling cancer, she continued to write, speak, and lead. She passed away on October 4th in 1890 in Essex, England. at the age of 61. She was buried at Abney Park Cemetery in London. And her contributions to the advancement of evangelism, social justice, and women in ministry continue to influence the church and global missions today. She also was a writer. We've mentioned a couple times she wrote the little pamphlet booklet called Female in Ministry in 1859. She wrote another book called Excessive Christianity in 1880. She wrote papers on practical religion in 1878 and popular Christianity in 1887. She said one time, if we are to better the future, we must disturb the present. And she did just that, disturbing complacency of the church and society to lift up the cause of Christ and his compassion for all. Well, Catherine Booth is one of, there's several of them in this series that we're doing here in the month of May. But Catherine Booth is one of my favorites, and we'll get in a couple of days to two of my all-time favorites. But I was so inspired in the 1800s of her being in partnership ministry with her husband. I think that's great. You don't see that very often. And secondly, that she stood up and was recognized for her ministry as a woman in ministry leader on her own merit. So I hope you're enjoying this as much as I've enjoyed studying these women and giving you this information. And be inspired that God has something for you. And I'll see you tomorrow.